WCPT 820.
Test. Can you hear me?
We
Hello.
Progressive Talk, where fact.
Can you hear me, Patty?
Weather Center. Scattered showers and storms continue tonight. A low.
Happening now.
When someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Sorry, I was wrong about 10. It was another commercial. Hold on a second.
.org. That's
Apologies.
loveyour.org.
Okay, 10 now.
Further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Hey, Google, play WCPT.
We just hanging out. Can they see us
Streaming
right now on
Chicago's
Facebook?
Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
And take it away, Up North podcast. Kirk Banks, Ben Cominos joins us from Knockabur & Company's podcast, Up North, where we talk all things that are important, not just in Wisconsin, but really everywhere in the country. Kirk, take it away, my friend.
Will do. Thanks, Patty. We have got a brand new producer today, and his name is Sam. And Sam, he's flying blind today. He's learning how to do all this stuff, but wait till you see some of the graphics we put together for tonight.
Ooh, that's exciting.
But this is the Up North podcast. Kirk Bankstead, Ben Cominos, Patty Vasquez, we always squeeze into Patty's show in Chicago on the last hour of our Wednesday show. So things are always a little helter-skelter here, but we're happy to reach as many people as we can, and getting onto your show is pretty darn awesome for us here in Wisconsin. By the way, Wisconsin, this is about as Wisconsin as it gets. I'm in my cabin in northern Wisconsin. You can see the wooden paneling. So I'm about as far away from civilization as you can get in Wisconsin.
That is north. By the way, I do want to tell you that we got a call from our listener, Jim. He's always the first call on our show. He says he loves the Up North podcast, really enjoys it. So just want to let you know.
Awesome. So let's talk about, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court election tonight. We're going to talk about the fall of Eric Swalwell in our second segment. We're going to talk about the defeat of Viktor Orban in Hungary, which is giving us all hope for America. And then we're going to in the last segment, we're going to talk about May Day, which is a very important, that's the next upcoming big thing that all of us progressives, we need the next big thing, like, Kings, and the next big thing is May Day. So without further ado, let's talk about the Supreme Court election last week. Sam, can you put up the first graph? That would be the dancing. Yes, sir. Okay, so we have
it's a lot of blue.
We have a dancing Hungarian that's we're going to talk about soon. But so this is the 2024 presidential election is what you're seeing on the right, and that was Trump won Wisconsin, and that was by not a ton, but he obviously won. And these are the results of the election with the Supreme Court election with Chris Taylor and Maria Lazar, and that is a sea of blue. So Ben, give us your initial thoughts on what you're seeing on this graph and kind of what you've been talking about in your show.
Yeah, it honestly, okay, let's just start from a Wisconsin basis first. I'm pretty sure you guys are both aware of this statistic at this point, but 7 of 8 districts, the way the congressional districts are drawn right now, 7 of 8 districts would go blue based on the way everybody voted. Now, it's not apples to apples, it's an April election, but definitely a cause to get excited about what we saw take place. I have lived in Wisconsin since 2022, and I have only seen Supreme Court bloodbaths since moving out here. I saw Protasewicz in 23, saw Crawford in 25, and obviously what took place last Tuesday. What sticks out to me is every time it gets bigger. Now, it obviously has shown the capacity to constrict as well, which is perfect reason not to get lazy. But when you mix this with what took place in Georgia on the same night in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, if you superimpose the outcome of that race on America's map, we're almost at 100 Republicans in the House of Representatives because it was a 23-point swing. We got a 20-point blowout in a purple state like Wisconsin, a 23-point swing, still a loss, but a massive swing in one of the deepest red places you can possibly imagine. And this is with the Democrats not even being that popular, and they are able to get these kind of numbers. It's an incredibly exciting sign for anybody that's fed up with it. And I think there's cause for celebration. And I'm not a pleasant man when it comes to these conversations. So it's nice to be this guy right now.
And it's wild for me. I'm sorry, it was wild for me. I was going to say that looking at this map, because of the places where we've gone door knocking and helping out different organizations in Wisconsin in particular, southern Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin, like Racine, Kenosha, and seeing them go blue when we made some headway with Kamala Harris's campaign. And also, I'm trying to figure out what the middle one, I want all of it. So this map makes me feel greedy.
Well, Patty,
I want it all.
Despite being a fib, you have a much more extensive history with this than me. How does it feel seeing a map like this after, let's compare it to like 2014? You know what I mean? Like what it felt like then. I wasn't here. I didn't know what politics was in 2014. What is it? Can you even imagine this?
Well, yes, and here's why: because of Obama, right? So because Obama had won Wisconsin, and because not just with 2014, but also 2015, 2016. When I was on the air overnights at WGN, I remember telling people we would get calls because we reached 38 states in Canada, and people would call and say, I can't bring myself to vote for either of them, right? And so we had told people, and I kind of felt guilty about this later and not making the better argument, but I wasn't a political, I wasn't a Democratic, I wasn't a progressive talk show host. And I was trying to thread that needle of, making everyone feel welcome, not leaning one way or the other, even though people could tell. Sure. And I would tell people, just show up for the vote and make sure you're voting for your local electeds, for your school boards, for your representatives, for your congresspeople, and leave the top of the ballot empty if that's what you have to do. And what did we see? We saw that in Michigan and Wisconsin, two states that I reached very well. And I'm not taking responsibility for those 18 to 22,000 votes of ballots that were left empty at the top, but that was what happened there. So I can see, this, only because of how aggressively red it has been, and voting for Ron Johnson, don't even get me started.
And gerrymandering and
oh yeah, well, Greg Walker, not Greg Walker. What was his name? Scott Walker. Scott Walker. So yeah, so
there
Scott
was a huge mountain. It's awesome. I'm thrilled for so many people. I joined the fight at the end when it was pretty straightforward. This has got to feel so good for people that know the history.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam, give us the next graph because you alluded to it, Ben. But we're going to talk about the congressional districts and how they swung. No, the other one, Sam. There we go. So first and foremost, you alluded to it a little bit, Ben. But this is the actual problem with getting too confident. Is that studies have shown that Republicans are starting to give up on, they have given up on Supreme Court races because their party is not the electorate for Supreme Court races. They've shown that by and large, there's only like 800,000 people that turned out to vote out of like a population of 5 million. And they've shown that in spring elections, it highly skews towards the college educated folks who kind of understand the connection between electing judges and potentially saving democracy and getting things done. And so that's why you've seen bloodbath you've seen judge bloodbaths, because the electorate, the MAGA electorate, is for better, for worse and for worse, it's the folks who aren't going to college and the working class, the populism, the right-wing populism. So that's the reason for us not to get crazy excited, even though this is very exciting. But the most important districts, the swing. So all the districts save one, and Wisconsin 5 is the area that's Waukesha. That's kind of the wow counties. That's like the white flight suburbs of Milwaukee, except for Ozaukee County, which we're going to talk about next because that actually went blue. But that's the one red one. But the Wisconsin 4 is Milwaukee. Wisconsin 2 is Dane County, Madison. Obviously, those are wildly Democratic. But the ones that we need to watch are Wisconsin 1 and Wisconsin 3. So Wisconsin 3 is Western Wisconsin, which is Derek Van Orden's district. He is one of the most MAGA reprehensible congressmen we have in the country. And that is the swingiest district in Wisconsin. So that district went 21 points for Chris Taylor, and Trump had won it by 7 points only 2 years ago. So that's looking like it's gonna flip.
And don't sleep on 7 though, Kirk. I mean, that's where Outside the Box is stationed. You know what I mean? Like, we have Tony Weed up here, and I'm here to tell you right now.
You're 8.
No, I'm telling you right now, I'm District 7. I'm congressional.
You're not. I ran for Congress in District 7. I know where it is, man. 7 is 7. You're Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, Door County. That's 8.
Okay. In any event, it's much more winnable than I think people are aware. Tony Weed is uniquely unpopular in this area, and I think it's worth highlighting. I understand the Derek Van Orden animosity, and I feel that. I'm with you guys. Yeah. But don't sleep on Northeast Wisconsin. I'm even seeing people panic about how blue it looks right now. Like Patty, not taking credit for it, but it is a coincidence,
Hey, I'll take whatever I can get. Well, when you talk about not getting lazy, not lazy isn't the word for it, but the sense of urgency has to be sustained. I think that's the thing, because after Obama won in 2008, basically, like, people look at presidential elections as the end all and be all. And look, we've talked to folks in Iowa, in Indiana, and other parts of the country where they voted for Trump because they were mad about salaries, about wages being stuck. And you're like, that's your state legislature. People just look at the presidency as like what controls everything. And it's not that. And so people went home, they're like, oh, we're good. And then Walker wins the governorship. And then you have the gerrymandering. You have all of these Republicans winning these seats across the state. And they were able to harness that Republican power. And that's how you have Van Orden controlling so much of what happens in Wisconsin and the Republicans. So just saying.
Okay. We got a little time left, and I wanted to show people this graph as well. So Ozaukee County, it's Washington, Waukesha, and Ozaukee has been the bulwark for the Republican Party over the last probably 20 years. It's white flight. It's the wealthier folks that commute into Milwaukee who don't want to live among the poverty. So, but they went Democratic in this last election. You can see how they've been moving Democratic, moving towards Democratic majority over the last few elections. So this is a harbinger that it's really dangerous for the Republicans, because if they lose Ozaukee County, there's no way they're going to win Wisconsin in any statewide election.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben. We got 30 seconds.
I was just going to concur. So you go ahead. You lead us out, Patty. But I was just going to say, you beat that's the stronghold. Keep it going.
There we
Patty.
go.
You got it.
Well, when we come back, we are hanging out with our friends Ben Cominos and, of course, the owner, the mastermind behind Minocqua Brewing Company, Kirk Bangstead. We are broadcasting the Up North podcast. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. Maybe put it in order for some great progressive brew. My favorite is now it is and always will be the Gulf of Mexico Mexican Lager is one of my favorites. And they have a great tap room in Madison, Wisconsin. We'll continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT, KKNW, and KTNF. We're so glad you're all here.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive Beer. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells Progressive Beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive Beer, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC Hop Water. Zero alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC Hop Water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. That's thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monaco Brewing Company, who sells progressive beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get progressive beer delivered to your door every month, go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. The Monaco Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the MonacoMarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's MonacoMarketplace.com and use the promo code UpNorth.
Where facts matter.
I forgot to tell everybody it was 10 seconds to come back. Now, take it away for the Up North podcast. Kirk Banks said, first of all, let me thank all of our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters, Monaco Brewing Company, Are You Really Winning, and Source Solar. Now we're ready, Kirk.
Okay, so I wanted to lead this segment in, but I definitely want to lean on Patty to give us her thoughts. But when I heard about Congressman Eric Swalwell's multiple allegations of sexual assault, probably, like everybody did, maybe Friday. And I have to say, I've become friends and a dedicated listener to Amanda Nelson from Amanda's Mild Takes. And she's been on our show a while, and she's out of Virginia, and she's super smart, and she's a historian, and she was just rabidly angry at Eric Swalwell and wanted to get him out. And I initially, and by the way, everybody probably knows this on the podcast. So Eric Swalwell's congressman from California, he was running for governor, and he is no longer running for governor, nor is he a congressman. He resigned because of all of these sexual assault allegations that were leveled at him over the weekend. So when I started hearing the vitriol coming from Amanda, I was surprised because Eric Swalwell was a hero of mine. He was one of the few guys that I thought was able to cut through the noise and and tell us what was really happening in Congress and all about all the lies of the Trump regime. And so initially, like a lot of progressives, I didn't want to believe it. I was like, "What's going on? Is this a hit job? Are they trying to get him out of the governor's race?" Because he's leading, and so I didn't want to believe it. But I also am a white male who, and I'm not, and so it's like when I heard Amanda say, listen to the women, and there's 4 allegations, and I dug in deeper, and I did the research, and it looked pretty damning. And apparently, and within 3 days, the Democratic Party and the progressives put so much pressure on him that he dropped out of the race, and then he resigned from Congress, it's pretty amazing. And it seems like the right thing to do. Patty, what was going on, through your mind throughout the week?
So I started hearing rumblings about it on social media. Here was my first instinct was to wait. Right. This is not for me to jump in on one way or the other. I waited until it grew. What it reminded me of was how much I really like John Edwards. Right. And I think it's also, and John Edwards was different. It wasn't even like that he was he had sexually assaulted staffers. He had an affair and cheated on his wife, who had brain cancer at the time, I believe, or breast cancer. And that was disappointing. This is appalling. Right. I think there's a little bit difference in that. But it's also like these men in power, especially men that I have to say men, because we're in this position where, like, can women win races? Right. Because that's a conversation we're also having. Can a woman of color win? Can a woman win? And then so you're like, okay, well, here's somebody who's fighting for all the issues that we believe in, who is taking Trump on head on. He's doing well in this at least in polling. We did know a couple weeks ago, and here was where I was, and this is part of the reason I also waited, was I knew that because they have a jungle, a jungle primary, right? So it's the top two, and we knew that the two top polling numbers were for the Republicans, and we're like, oh, are we vulnerable? So I wondered, are they the same thing? Like, I want to wait, right? And then to your point, then there was like this surreal online battle between content creators who were like, they were saying, oh, I'm not buying it. This is all ginned up. This is, the Democrats. It's Katie Porter's camp. It's Steyer's camp. Like it got crazy online. And I think Amanda's mild takes was like, listen to the women. There was also another content creator who had helped line up an attorney so that the women who were coming forward would have a shield so that they could feel comfortable and safe to go public with their allegations, because I do believe these allegations started years ago, but it was kind of these sort of background noise rumblings that hadn't surfaced. And then you have Kevin McCarthy, who's on TV saying, oh, we all knew about it. I don't think it's that, because if it is that, and if it's much bigger and they all knew about it, then I got a problem with a whole lot of people on both sides of the aisle, right? So I think that, when for me, do you know what it was when he came out with his statement? I was like, oh, he did something horrible, because his statement was, that I'm gonna fight this. I didn't do anything wrong, and he actually said to his wife that I need to apologize to my wife, and I'm like, for what? I mean, right there's already something like, Then over the weekend, as the momentum started to grow, what's hard for women. Not just women, by the way. I've gotten messages from people who've been in workplaces where they have been harassed and assaulted. Is that the question? Why didn't they come forward sooner? Why now thing? Even Swalwell said, when Kavanaugh was in the hearings, he said, if it's one woman, maybe it's a rumor. But when you have multiple accusers coming forward, and Kavanaugh's went back decades. Right. And so if he was yelling at Kavanaugh, dude, right back at you. And for people who are like, well, we don't know, there's no evidence. Here's the thing. This is a political campaign. We are talking about one of the most important races in the country that we absolutely need to make sure we do everything we can and we have the right people. And I don't know if it's Katie Porter, but this was heartbreaking. It's disgusting. And it's so prevalent at all layers of power, whether it's just at a fast food restaurant or in Congress. And I'm pissed, and you can tell. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. No, I mean, you covered it all so well there, Patty. But I mean, all I have to add to it is I kind of followed the same path you guys did. I didn't mention it until today for similar reasons that you mentioned. All five candidates were about the same percentage, and clearly the Democrats wanted at least one person to drop, and I was suspicious. As the details made themselves apparent, though, it was pretty clear, and similar to how you laid it out there, Patty, that was actually the angle that I took with it. Kevin McCarthy talking about it being a well-known secret. And honestly, that's not the only person I heard. And I wish I had more lists. And it's seeming like this is more like the Lindsey Graham sexual orientation conversation for Eric Swalwell. Like, it seems like it's one of the worst kept secrets, according to a lot of the way people are talking right now. And to me, this felt too business transactional. My episode of Outside the Box today is it's almost a decade since Me Too. What have we learned? Because it seems pretty apparent to me the Tony Gonzalez out of Texas scenario, that wasn't up for debate. It was known that the woman he was having an affair with took her own life because of what he was doing to her sexually. And he refused to step down until there was a tit for tat trade so that there could be certain balances still maintained in office. And were it not for this, nobody would have been dropping out. So the actual principle, the only reason we care about the Swalwell accusations is because it is politically relevant. And if he were just some random guy in Congress, mark my words, someone else is doing it. We just don't care because they're just in a safe red district, not trying to reach too far to the sun. Just mind your business and you'll get away with it. But don't run for governor because we know what you're doing. And this feels like that.
And that's what I think they would argue about Kavanaugh, right? Like, why did anyone say anything sooner? And,
right.
and it does rise to that in that, look, I was in a toxic work environment where I was sexually harassed aggressively and persistently for years. And not just me, other women were. And I mean, it was kind of like this, I guess, for me, intellectually, it was partly, I guess this is the price of being in the job I've always dreamt of. Right. I mean, that's what a lot of people like, to work at that place. You're like, and so to be in Capitol Hill, and well, if I say anything, my career is over in DC. That's
you're like what you're describing. I worked with a woman who at the time was probably in her late 50s, far right talk show host. And I was a part-time producer. So I bit my tongue, I controlled her boards, and I did what I needed to do. She looks at me after the show and she says, I can tell I disagree with you, but I was thrilled to work with you because I can tell you're not intimidated by working with women.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine in media, in politics, the power, the control, how much we want this microphone and how a few people have control of it. I can only empathize, but I promise you, I understand it.
All right. So I wanted to make 2 points before about now 30 seconds. The first point is the Republicans are not the Democrats. They are not kicking out their people that are harassing. We are. So that's one big point. And the other big point is DC seems like a terrible place for women who want to work up the ranks. And it seems just like both parties, like, women can't say anything because they want to keep on rising the ladder. Take us away, Patty.
Thank you so much, Kirk and Ben. Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. Go to WHBY.com, or you can download their nifty little app. He's also broadcasting on YouTube, so follow his show on YouTube as well. Kirk Bangstead, available on all social media platforms. In particular, we would love for you to join us on Substack, where we all write columns there and feature other wonderful writers, and join our marketplace. Go to MonacroBrewingCompany.com to learn about all the great products, all the great brews and swag, all the fun stuff. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our progressive t-shirts. The Monaco Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MonacoMarketplace.com and go to apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monaco Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Monaco Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at MonacoMarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC hop water. Zero alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC hop water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. That's thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. The Monaco Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the MonacoMarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's MonacoMarketplace.com and use the promo code UpNorth. Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our progressive t-shirts. The Monaco Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MonacoMarketplace.com and go to apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth.
Leader joins us right now. Oh, I forgot to turn the microphone on. That's why you didn't hear me. Kirk Bangstead, Ben Cominos. Take it away, Kirk.
Okay, so I wanted this. I mean, there's been huge things happening in the last week. So usually we talk about one big subject and kind of dive deep, but not this week. So in this segment, you know, we have all been given a huge amount of hope in America because we saw Viktor Orban's authoritarian regime go down, I believe, on Sunday when you were writing your essay, Patty. We were talking about that.
I was so mad. I was like, I gotta update with this.
How do I write about now? What do I write about now? I can't just start this over.
I guess we didn't start another war.
But, it was a huge, the implications for a regime, and Ben's going to get into more of the history, but just my initial thoughts, the implications for a regime where the dictator had gotten a rubber stamped kind of court and he got a rubber stamp legislature. He had orchestrated their country and gerrymandered it in their own way of gerrymandering to make everybody hopeless. That there's no way that anybody but him would ever get elected again. And it wasn't considered a democracy. Hungary wasn't a democracy. And so the fact that they had an election and 80% of the population came out and the guy won, the other guy won by, not a whole lot, but 50, less than 60% of the vote, I believe, meant that even with all the obstacles and all the shadiness that probably happened at the ballot box because they kind of baked in shadiness, they still were able to overcome. And that to me is such a helpful, it gives me hope because we know there's going to be shadiness in our own elections in 2026. So Ben, let's back up and talk to us for the folks that kind of aren't really knowledgeable about Hungary, which is most of us. Back us up and tell us about who won and who is this guy?
The winner right now is Magyar, and based on your description there, Kirk, and I think you did a very appropriate job of describing what it was in. I guess I wish I would have made this parallel when I was writing the article about it, but it really does represent, it's the same time period of when the legislature in Wisconsin flipped and Governor Scott Walker took over, and that helpless gerrymandered feeling where it felt like liberals were never going to have a say in things again. And you very much feel the tide shifting that way as well. And to kind of put it in perspective for people that might not follow along with Hungary, this was that to the nth degree. This was a guy that had taken advantage of the rules, but that was slowly losing power. Very similar to here. What do we have below us? We have Hispanics. And that is what is vilified by the MAGA movement. Hungary has Africans and Muslims below them. So who do we blame? We blame this influx. It's not a matter of the policies. It's not a matter of the people in charge. It's these immigrants are sneaking in and they're taking all of your services. And unfortunately, it worked. It worked for a while. And it's clear that there is a conservative bent to the people of Hungary because even this replacement is still a right-winger, still somebody that I think we wouldn't want to see come to power in America. Probably still less than what Trump is, but not ideal from a number of different perspectives. And I have a feeling it's still going to be very austerity-based. But the signs were so clear in the coming weeks that is why J.D. Vance, in the middle of a war and affordability crisis and all these other different problems that we have in America right now, saw fit to leave the country. Imagine Kamala Harris leaving when all the immigrants were influxing in, what the reaction would be. And yet J.D. Vance goes over there to campaign for a guy that most people in America, especially that voted for Trump, probably have never heard of. It as you highlighted, it's a cause for excitement, and this individual I think is going to leave a lot to be desired, but I think it shows a rejection of what MAGA is, and I think there's going to be a number of leaders following suit in the same vein.
That's something I've been thinking about, you guys, because, if there were, a Republican who was brave enough to go, this isn't who we are, right? I don't know how much longer, people who say they were never Trumpers, or I don't even know who that would be right now. I mean, I know that a few Republicans have tried to dip their toe in the waters of pushing back on whether it's Iran or what the president has done. I mean, the whole Pope mess is absolutely bonkers. We haven't even talked about these AI images, but I have thought about that, Ben, about how there is an example for conservatives who want to maintain that energy that Trump has been able to harness when it comes to anti-immigrants, when it comes to anti-woman. By the way, I don't know if you saw this poll that shows that Gen Z men are more likely to think a woman should obey her husband than boomers. I don't know what the freaking frack is happening.
Turning point.
Yeah, I mean,
That's turning point.
which is also then that isn't that also associated with Hungary and
Yep.
Orban and
Yeah.
funding and like
He was funding it, right?
Yeah, he was taking taxpayer money to put into Turning Point. I mean, like it's bonkers. But at any rate, there is a path if some brave Republican, and I think we need to make sure Democrats do everything we can right now to do the best we might be able to do in November. What do you think, Kirk?
Okay, so you alluded to it. It might be Turning Point as well, but we know that Viktor Orban funded CPAC.
Oh, it was CPAC.
CPAC.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
right.
And CPAC is like MAGA. It's like they just MAGA personified. It's like this is where all the red-blooded MAGA folk go, and they say the most ludicrous things. And so for years, Hungary was shoveling money to CPAC. And by the way, CPAC this year, we talked about this in one of our office hours, Patty. There was this woman who had to take out her nose ring. She was a journalist for a left-wing magazine, and she conservative herself up and went to CPAC. And for the first time, she always goes just to get crazy quotes. So just say, this is how crazy they are. She went this time, and everybody still was like, we're still MAGA, but they had a look of regret on their face. But going back, if Hungary, Viktor Orban was backed 100% by Vladimir Putin in Russia. And so there is no doubt, and they've made the parallels in lots of different articles that I've read over the last couple of days, that Putin was shoveling money through Hungary to feed CPAC to just plant absolute propaganda with the very manipulable MAGA movement. And so that's why we're seeing people saying, I'd like strongman. I'd rather see Putin than Biden. You know, there's so much pro-Russia stuff happening in MAGA, and it's propaganda. And now it's going to probably blow wide open how much of this was flowing from Russia, potentially through Hungary or other venues, into the right, alt-right. It's very disturbing.
Well, the appealing part of authoritarians to people like MAGA, and to be perfectly frank, there's an element of that on the progressive left, because you could very easily talk me into nuking the filibuster in the name of getting Medicare for all. Like, that would not be a hard pitch for me, because the problem is things move too slow in a democracy for somebody that is struggling right now. They see a Viktor Orban who can say, this is what's going to happen, and then that's what happened. But when you would elect a strongman, what this is something evil or vile or awful, and not something that will benefit them, but it'll hit the little dopamine sensors that you're kicking the brown people out. So although while I might be struggling, this at least will satiate whatever desire that is here. That's why you see that sentiment bubble up, and I'm not surprised they see it here either. So I'm not saying it's better than Biden, but I'm saying I understand why they talk that way, and it's a matter of pushing back against that.
It's interesting you say that, because the strong man element to this, and also the people who are struggling don't have time to wait for democracy to work its way through to do the right thing, right? And Mexico is a good example of universal health care, I believe, by 2028. I mean, we have a leader who is putting a lot of elements into place that is helping people. So I think that there are
1/17 the GDP, Patty. They have 1/17 the GDP of America, and they got Medicare for all. I feel like
she's
we
cleaning
should
house.
Figure it out.
All I'm saying is she's cleaning house.
It's funny. My lawyer Fred was still able to buy himself out of a ticket in Mexico. He just told me about. But anyway,
they got corruption down there. They still got corruption down there, but they also have healthcare. So we got corruption here.
I have a friend who lives there. She loves buying her beers for $1.50.
I hear that. So the what was I? So what I loved, we talked a little bit already about this, Ben, and this is the difference. So populism we need big things to happen. We need big things to happen, in order to get the working class back on the right path. Right-wing populism is based in bigotry and racism, and that's how they elect a strong man. Left-wing populism is based on education, healthcare for all, and jobs. And you mentioned
boring. Sorry.
But as long as we can move quickly towards that with strong leaders, that's how we win for the next 2 decades.
I say it on my show all the time. In some ways, Donald Trump is a centrist liberal's nightmare because everyone in America is seeing exactly how fast you can remake America in your image. And that image doesn't have to be a giant pile of orange crap. So like somebody with a good idea can come into America and do the exact same thing that he did, but in reverse. And I think people are expecting that. I'll be speaking to all of the gubernatorial candidates next Saturday. I'm going to have their ear for 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to tell them some stuff. Don't you worry. We'll get into that.
Go to Kirk. Get it.
Okay, I want to play this video, and then Patty, you lead us out, because this is of a guy, a Hungarian, just dancing like a champion after the election. You got to see this.
Am I going to get in trouble for the music? Go ahead. Oh, no, I don't think I will. I think
No,
we're
you're
okay
good.
on this one. Oh, my gosh. For folks who can't watch this, he's doing some quite stellar moves. He looks a little bit double jointed, like his knee went backwards there for a second. A lot of excitement. This is the celebration of overthrowing Orban in the election. So there you go. We are broadcasting.
Like how Greeks dance. Go on.
Is that Greek? Are you? Is that how you dance?
It looked Greek. Yeah, it did. There was some movements
Whoopa!
that looked Greek. Here we go. There we go.
They were very joyous. So hopefully, I think that it bodes well for a lot of us. But you're right. I've seen a lot of pro strongman comments on our Facebook page. We are broadcasting the Up North podcast courtesy of Minocqua Brewing Company and our fearless leader, Kirk Banksa. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and Substack, where a lot of our friends are watching right now. Please be a paid subscriber to Minocqua Brewing Company Substack so you can support the work that we do. Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. Go to WHBY.com or support his YouTube channel, Ben Cominos, right there on YouTube. Maybe his little nifty app they've got for WHBY as well. We need one of those. More after this on WCPT, KKNW, and 1150 KTNF.
Top.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive Beer. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells Progressive Beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive Beer, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Minocqua Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at MinocquaMarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to MinocquaMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Minocqua Brewing Company, who sells Progressive Beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get Progressive Beer delivered to your door every month, go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our Progressive t-shirts. The Minocqua Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MinocquaMarketplace.com and go to Apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MinocquaMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MinocquaMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
And we bring you back our Minocqua Brewing Company's podcast, Up North podcast. Kirk Banksa, our fearless leader, the mastermind behind Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and subscribe to the Substack. Please be a paid subscriber and support the work that we do. That includes work from Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box. Take it away, Kirk.
Okay, so in this last segment, I want to remind everybody, we first talked about these huge swing left that we took in last week's Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. We then talked about how Democrats did the right thing, as painful as it was, but they did it swiftly and they did it decidedly as they put pressure on Congressman Eric Swalwell to bow out of the California governor's race and to resign as a congressman. We also know that the Republican Party has never done that to any of their similar abusing politicians. In the last segment, we talked about another wonderful harbinger. I say the word harbinger because I love the word of democracy coming back to America, because Viktor Orban lost in Hungary. Now, if democracy doesn't come back after our 2026 elections in November, if they somehow are stolen, we still have hope because we saw what happened in Hungary. But there are other ways for regime change other than elections, and those are called striking and boycotting. Nonviolent ways for regime change. And so what has been happening ever since Trump was elected we've had 3 No Kings marches. We had, what was the first one called Hands Off, I believe. I can't remember, but we've had like 5 protests now, mostly every 3 months. They keep on getting bigger. I think the last one is up to 7 million potentially a couple weeks ago. And these are what you call structure tests for doing more things that get to regime change. So protesting and getting millions out in the streets are just tests to see how well you can organize and how many people you can get to go along in one direction. So after all of these strikes, the groups, 50-51, Indivisible is kind of the biggest one. Obviously the Democratic Party, but there's another group called Mayday Strong that is leading the next movement, and that is on May 1st. And this is an actual test to see if a nationwide general strike can actually work. And what a general strike does is if nobody goes to work, then the economy is brought to its knees, and that scares the bejesus, which is not a swear word, I think, for your radio show, out of our current oligarchy. And so the Mayday Strong movement, let me read what I just pulled up. On May 1st, 2026, workers, students, and families rally, march, and take action across the country to demand a nation that puts workers over billionaires, with many refusing business as usual through no school, no work, no shopping. Talk to us, Sam, put the graphic up and show us where it's happening in Wisconsin. And whoever wants to talk about what you think, Patty, what do you think? What do you think about this?
I've thought about this. Like, what would I do? I don't know if I would, like, do we just go air silent? I have to go to work. Right. It's funny. I actually saw a local elected who does not support no school on May Day. And I was struck by that because, and I get I don't think there's a reason to, as a Democrat, let the organizations, the unions take the lead on this is my instinct, right? Because they understand best, how to make sure that people feel supported in the decisions that they make on May Day to either not go to work, not go to school. I mean, parents do have to worry about their kids and if they aren't being a part of this, if they can't, if they're nurses, if they're working for the, trains, public transportation. I mean, there's different levels to this. But I think that it was very successful in Minnesota. Sadly, the day after they did it in Minnesota, we had one of the most catastrophic murders right in front of us, with Alex Preddy being killed by ICE agents. And I think that it's something that we need to carry with us as to what our federal government is capable of, and what's transpired over the last few weeks with the completely unhinged rantings of this man saying that we're going to annihilate a civilization, right? And it has brought us to war. Have you seen what's even going on in Ireland? They are blocking the roads to the refineries because the price of gas has made it impossible for farmers, for truckers, for people to go to work. And that's going to spread, I think. And so I think that we need to take a lead from the Irish, not for nothing, but they seem to know what they're doing when it comes to organizing and shutting things down.
Always do. And also you can't discount oh shoot, what was the name of the city? It's a Canadian sounding city, and it's in California. Oh, Ontario, California. They set the Kimberly-Clark warehouse on fire.
That's some wild stuff.
The guy recorded himself. There's a lot of that sentiment, and a general strike is the much more legal way that you can do it without
Yes.
worrying about any type of major ramifications on your life. I quite literally came here to this podcast from an event with the Labor Party. No affiliation with Europe. It's their own version. They might be partnering with the Working Families Party, speaking about a general strike. And if any of them tell you they pumped me full of drinks before this podcast, they'd be lying to you.
Hey, you're not running the board. You're just talking to us.
Exactly.
I'm the only one that can't be drinking.
Yeah, that's how you mix up Tom Tiffany's district with Tony Weed's district in the first segment. But in any event, but I say all that to say it's on a lot of people's minds, and quite frankly, it's not even coming necessarily from the Democratic Party. It's coming from a third party, at least in Northeast Wisconsin. You want to hear this kicker? The Labor Party, the union-based party, started in Wisconsin. This group started in Door freaking County in Wisconsin. Picture of all the places for it to start, and they're getting people ramped up now to be prepared. But this is for May Day, May 1st, obviously, but almost as like a dry run there. So this is on people's minds right now for sure, whether it be for election purposes or just standard of living purposes.
Yeah. So Patty, to your note, obviously when you don't show up to school, you don't show up to work, you don't buy, not buying anything is a little different. But if businesses like ours want to participate, I don't make any money that day, and my employees don't make any money that day. So there is hardship to striking, and it's especially hard for people who are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, that there can never be a general strike that lasts more than one day unless you have a huge organized what's it called, mutual aid program that goes along with that. So that's why unions have strike funds. So they have millions of dollars of strike funds so that if people do strike in order to try to get their goal, their families don't suffer. So one day is kind of a ceremonial thing, but it's what you call and what people in the labor movement call a structure test. So one day is not going to change anything. But if you get so many people not showing up to their job, then you have business leaders who probably vote Republican saying, oh my God, if they did this for a week, I would suffer. And I don't want to suffer. And so we have to change because my people aren't coming. So this one day is not going to do a whole lot for anybody. But if lots of people show up, then the unions will raise strike funds for not only their own unions, but, we will organize, and nurses hopefully can provide potential. If it's going to be a week, they can provide healthcare for free. Doctors can pitch in. There's got to be a huge amount of organization so people don't suffer. But striking has proven, it is the most powerful and the most hard to achieve, but it's the most powerful tool to topple a regime that's taken away all of your rights, including your ability to vote. Patty?
Yeah, I think that that's what people need to know is more about, like, this is kind of like the by the way, I am paying I'm coming out even. I'm not getting a refund on my taxes, but this is a lot like not paying your federal taxes. People need to know what the supports are, what the resources are, what the legal ramifications are, how to stay protected, and that's a lot of what I appreciate. I talked to Bob Reiter from the AFL-CFL here at Chicago, and knowing that they are putting in place mutual aid, making sure that people know where they can turn to if they are going to fall short. If that income that they lose that day means that they miss a payment on something or can't afford groceries, how do they support each other? And that's what we need more of in general, because things are going to get more expensive, folks. So now, whether it's because you're going to participate in May Day or you need to know where you can get fresh produce, food for your family, look in your mutual aid, your neighborhood pantries. We had someone on from our neighborhood garden for the hungry in the last hour, because I think everyone needs to gear up for these situations.
I'll just concur with what you have to say there, because I think it's spot on, and I think it's very good in principle, and it's just a matter of enacting it in practice, which I think is always the most difficult part. So getting prepared early and often is probably the best strategy.
So you've got 19 events, is that right, across 14 cities, right? From as far north as Hayward down to Rice Lake, River Falls, Eau Claire, Baraboo, Sauk City, Madison, Appleton, Rhinelander, Beaver Dam. We've got 2 events in Janesville, it looks like, Waukesha, Milwaukee, Manitowoc. So that's so Appleton, I imagine Appleton's going to be a big turnout, by the way. I think a lot of these places.
It's been coming through in a lot of ways that I think people are unaware for this state, and I think it's awesome to see. Both No Kings protest people showed up, and I have a feeling you'll see something similar here. And the groups that I'm connecting with out here, it's all underground stuff, and it's absolutely awesome.
Someone just made a really good point, by the way, before we go. Other countries that strike all the time have national health, so at least they don't have to worry about that part, right? And that's something that keeps us trapped in our jobs.
Yeah,
it's a nationwide union too. When one strikes, they all strike.
They
it's
all
awesome.
strike.
I wish
That's
we
right.
had that.
I know. I'm looking at Scotland and Ireland. Thank you guys so much. Kirk Bangstead, the owner, the founder of Monaco Brewing Company. Go to monacobrewingcompany.com. Visit his tap room in Madison when you swing up that way. Maybe you want to swing all the way up to Appleton, and you don't have to go all the way up there to listen to WHBY for Outside the Box with Ben Cominos. You can also watch him on YouTube and download the app on go to WHBY.com. Thank you to
I don't
KTNF.
normally look this good, though. You won't see me looking this good.
You look great. Stop.
Thanks.
Thank you to our new producer, Sam. Pleasure to meet you. This was a wonderful show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Love you, Lady B. Good night, everybody.
Let me die.